YouTube, Twitter, or any podcast platform.
Oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that? UF Hall of Famer Shane Matthews has a show every weekday. I'm going to go check it out tomorrow. Thanks, Siri.
Good morning. Welcome. It's a Wednesday edition. It's hump day, folks. It's PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Got a lot to talk about today, boy. We got to have JC on the Tight Anymore hotline. Then we'll have Edgar Thompson from the Orlando Sentinel. Get his thoughts on a lot of Gator stuff and stuff going on in the sports world. If you missed it, folks, the Live and the PGA Tour and the DP World Tour, they're all one tour now. I'm going to get JC's thoughts on that. Gator baseball is Friday, Saturday, Sunday against the Gamecocks. Get your tickets if you haven't. It is on ESPN this weekend, I believe. So if you want to stay home in the AC and watch it, you can do that as well. NBA finals start again tonight, and I think the Nuggets will play much better. Let's go to the Tight Anymore hotline. JC, good morning. You're supporting the Texas Rangers. I assume they're in first place.
That's such a great assumption. You are very, very observant. They are, and I like Texas. I've been to their games. My daughter-in-law has sweet tickets where they literally bring you food and drinks down there on the field. It's unbelievable. So we're going to be Rangers fans today. But QB, as far as this golf thing goes, I'm driving to work. It was broke on CNBC by David Faber, the news. He had Yasser Al-Rumayyan along with Jay Monahan on set to interview to talk about this merger that had been basically started discussions a month ago or so. And it was very tight-lipped. And, they decided, listen, we're going to make this, we're going to be better together than we would be fighting each other and going through the distraction and the expense of lawsuits and so forth. So they came up with a solution. And honestly, QB, and so many people, this is what irritates the hell out of me, is so many people were so concerned and so worried about what the guys who didn't go to Live aren't getting and how the guys who did go to Live won whatever, that they are missing the whole point of this merger. And to me, I'm not going to feel sorry for a guy who owns a private jet that didn't get paid $100 million. I'm not going to worry about his business decision not to join another tour. What I am more interested in is going forward, what will this mean for golf? And what will it mean for your entertainment value? And what will it mean for my entertainment value? I want to internalize it rather than worrying about whether or not Tiger Woods or Rory McIlroy got their feelings hurt, which makes me just utterly laugh out loud. So I think, look, if we're going to go with who won and who lost, yes, sure. On the business side of things, the Live guys clearly won, and the PGA guys may have been shafted on that end of it. But overall, when you look past all of that nonsense and you go forward and you look at what the potential is for this, I think it is an absolute home run, and it's a winner for everybody involved, including those of us who don't get paid $30 million to wear a hat. So that's what I take out of it, and I think it's the right move because eventually the PGA Tour just couldn't keep up with the sovereign wealth fund of Saudi Arabia.
We're going to talk about the Saudis here in a minute, but Andy wants to know, JC, what do you think drove the merger? The lawsuits, the sponsors, networks, pressure, because the PGA lost many of the big-name golfers? I
think all of it had a lot to do with that. That had to do with, a lot of it was, all of those things had to do with this. But I think at the end of the day, it's a forward vision. Jimmy Dunn, who is a huge influence in the PGA Tour, and Jay Monahan, who has to make tough decisions and maybe in the business world decided to say things that he probably shouldn't have said to his players who stayed on the PGA Tour, not knowing what was going to come in the next year or so. Maybe they decided, you know what, we have to look forward. And I think what drove this was business. This is nothing more than business. And there are so many critics out there who want to tell you what's right and what's wrong. They don't know anything. They don't know anything because they didn't talk to Yasser. They don't understand the Saudis, and they don't understand the role of the CEO of the PGA Tour. And by the way, everybody's misinterpreting something here. The PGA Tour is going to have the governance laws behind them because they will have more board members. The money's going to come from the Saudis, but the PGA Tour people are going to govern this entity. They are going to have the power on the board. They are going to have the numbers on the board, and they can do pretty much what they want with this golf entity, as long as the Saudis keep paying. And that's the way it works. The Saudis aren't the boss here. The guy is the chairman. Monahan is the CEO, but the PGA is going to have more people on the board governing what happens, and that's what people are forgetting.
So when do you think the Saudis buy an NFL team?
When that NFL team commits to London, whatever that is, and money can make that happen. And if you can create a team out of the thin blue air, if you can create a team out of the sky in Cleveland because they left to go to Baltimore, then you can probably put a team in a market like London. Not that I think logistically that would be a great thing, but what do logistics matter when USC and UCLA are going to play in the Big Ten? So that's kind of what I'm thinking, is that eventually when a team commits to London, maybe it's Jacksonville, maybe whoever it is, and then Saudi Wealth Fund, the Saudi Investment Fund, the PIF, comes in and says, here's $15 billion. What are you going to do as an owner? What are you going to do? And it's just the way the world's working right now, QB. It's permeating college football. It's already hit the coaching, and it's hitting sports. The Saudis want to diversify their economy, but I'm not here to wave the flag for Saudi Arabia. I have no love for Saudi Arabia, but their money is involved in this, and Phil Mickelson started it.
What was the didn't they just pay some soccer dude like $300 million a year or something?
Yes, a soccer guy, a guy who doesn't even use his hands. All he does is run around. All he does is run around and use his head and his chest and his feet to do whatever soccer players do, which they now refer to as football because the foot kicks the ball. But the head, the body, $300 million over 3 years. 300-something million dollars over 3 years to kick a damn soccer ball. Listen, bro, the money is so out there that it's hard for folks to really have an understanding on it. And I understand some folks are appalled at Saudi Arabia. I'm appalled by a lot of things. But this thing with the 9/11 and the blood money, I find fault in that as well, because the current ruler of Saudi Arabia was a 17-year-old when 9/11 happened. He had nothing to do with it. The person that did have something to do with 9/11 was exiled and living in Afghanistan and was worth $309 million, and he's the one who trained the terrorists. The terrorist who flew the first plane into the building, Mohammed Atta, was an exile. The Saudi Arabian government, they all want to say, funded 9/11. There's arguments going on around the block on this, but I can tell you those facts, that Mohammed bin Salman was 17. He was born in 1985. Actually, he was 16. He didn't fund 9/11.
All right, we got a text here on the Titan Mark text line from George. George, hey guys, just curious your thoughts about how the PGA Tour players had no wind of this and found out mostly on Twitter. Your thoughts?
I believe that. I believe that totally. I believe
it's crazy how quiet this thing. I mean, because usually people have sources.
Yes, but these guys met in London a month ago. They so much as said that yesterday on David Faber's interview, that they were talking about this for a couple of weeks. Jimmy Dunn, who runs Sandler O'Neill, which is an investment firm, he has a massive influence and a huge part of all this. He got these guys together. He was the one that said, Jay, let's go talk to Yasser and see what we can do about growing this game and creating more revenue. Because the fact of the matter is, the PGA Tour was falling behind. I don't think it had anything to do with the lawsuits. The lawsuits were going to go either way, and you were just going to end up paying lawyers forever. It's like that 4-year divorce, right? The issue was, we have got to create more revenue and grow the sport. And that's the only way to do it, because you're using the most money you can possibly imagine at your disposal. And again, the PGA Tour has the governance on this entity because they have the majority in the boardroom. And that's the fact. And nobody seems to forget. They all forget these little issues that drive this business. And that's what it is. It is nothing more than business. And yes, Rory and Tiger, they may not have been told the truth, but a year ago, I don't think Jay Monahan knew one damn thing about what happened yesterday. And so I don't know if you can truly blame him, even though everybody's ready to kick him out of the executive suite. That's not going to happen either, because Yasser is working with Jay. And those are the two guys calling the shots, not people's feelings or who's got their feelings hurt about, well, this guy didn't get paid $100 million. Jesus, he only made 50. And that's not,
well, that's not going to be an issue, because that's
No,
That's
but everybody's
that's not an
making it
issue in NFL locker rooms when you think about
But
it. You know,
everybody's making it an issue, right? Everybody's worried about that. Roy didn't get his fair cut. Roy stayed and defended the PGA Tour. Defended what? It's a business. These guys would be pushing lawnmowers if they weren't hitting golf balls, QB. And the only place to make money hitting golf balls is to be inside of the top 125 on the PGA Tour. Until the Saudis said, you know what? Here's some money. Let's get involved ourselves. That's the truth. You can't tell me that outside of 125, anybody's making any money playing golf. And forget about the DP World Tour. That's just respectfully going along with the ride. They're not important. They don't have the
they make enough to live comfortably.
Yeah, right. So great. That's great. Without these tours, again,
It's no different than XFL players. They don't make a whole lot of money, but they make enough to live on.
I just find it amusing that so many people are outraged. The outrage of it all.
Andy says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel, all the golf stocks rallied on the news, as did Nike and Dick's Sporting Goods.
Oh, wow. What a shocker. Isn't that amazing? That's shocking. No, that's expected. That's what's going to happen. It's if you look past all of this nonsense and the soap opera that everybody wants to fixate on, and you look forward on what's potentially coming, it's tremendous. Everybody's going to win. And as I tweeted yesterday, Greg Norman won his third major yesterday. So good for him. Good for them. They won. Clearly, they were the winners on this deal financially. And I'm talking about the Harold Varners, the Taylor Gooches, the Patrick Reeds, the Peter Eulins. Peter Eulin? I mean, these are the guys that won. Okay, great. Wonderful. Good job. But Arnold Palmer and Jack Nicklaus got golf going from the beginning, and they were the winners, and other people came along with them, and eventually golf grew. So that's what's going to happen here. We're going to have a global marketplace now, a global marketplace. And by the way, for all these people about the Saudi blood money, you go call Greg Popovich and go call Steve Kerr, who are sucking it with the Chinese right now, sitting on some beach with the Chinese, all right, while they enslave 1 million Muslims on the other side of the country. Don't give me this hypocrisy. When it comes to sports, you cannot deal with the hypocrisy anymore. You just have to live with it, because that's where we're at. That's where we're at. So I want to hear it. The NBA.
You got to live with a lot of nonsense these days.
Well, yeah, hypocrisy is part of it, but the NBA is clearly in bed with China. You can't even get LeBron to say one bad thing about China, because he knows who's milking his who's buttering his bread. Come on.
Ruzoga State Farm offers a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit ogreinsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. Speaking with JC on the Technomar hotline.
Are you going to care? You going to care in 2 weeks when you're watching the U.S. Open on Father's Day about whether or not Rory McIlroy got a good deal? Are you going to care?
No, I don't care about it. I did. Look, regardless of whether I like it or not, I didn't agree with the formats, and I just don't think the LIV was a competitive golf tour.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was more, let's go have fun. We got our money. If I win, great. If not, blah, blah, blah. But You've always known that Brooks Koepka and Cam Smith are my two favorite golfers.
Mm-hmm.
And I that never changed.
They're back now.
Right. So I didn't like their format and all that kind of stuff, because it's like, I saw another interview with Tiger. I think it was a replay about how, it's all about competition, and you're getting this money to not really compete. But now they have a lot of money, and like the Harold Varners of the world, like you said, he has no work. If I was Harold Varner and I go play in the U.S. Open now and I tee it up and I shoot 95, I'm not going to lose any sweat. I'm going to get in my rental car. I'm going to drive to the hotel airport, get on my net jet, and go home.
Exactly.
Whereas in the past, he would be like, damn, we may not be able to pay our mortgage this month.
Well, or we're going to lose our status. I think the mortgage was safe, but the status is what these guys are trying to accomplish, those that don't win every week. Chris DeMarco made a great living by not winning, but just placing and making enough money to get around the world. And good for him. That's called life. But, the Saudis needed distribution. Let me ask you, QB, how many people, I call them LIV lovers, all our friends out here who love the LIV, How many times did they actually sit around for 3 hours during the day and watch the damn thing? And on what channel did they watch it? Oh, they watched it on the CW. I couldn't tell you what channel that is on my 700 channels of Cox Cable that I shouldn't be paying for. It's on there somewhere, but am I going to sit around worrying about it? Hell no. I'm going to go watch the Colonial. I'm going to go watch the Byron Nelson. I don't give a crap. Nobody watched that stuff, and they knew it, but they have the money. So they needed distribution. The PGA Tour needed money. That is what happened. That is the genesis of all business deals. It's called giving and taking. And that's what I think we have. It's a forward-thinking view that I think they did a great job on. And everybody wants to kill Jay Monahan. He's about to make him a lot of money. Everything's going to be fine. Just relax.
All right, Greg has a question for you here. How is China involved in the NBA? It's the first he's heard of that.
Come on, Greg. I mean, Greg, really, Greg, their market is huge. That's the second largest economy on earth, and it's not even close.
Haven't they played a bunch of like exhibition or games over there?
Yeah, they will or they have. But the fact is, you think LeBron sells tennis shoes in China? Do you think Greg Popovich gets paid from the Chinese interests of his sport, the viewership, the TV deals, everything that's involved in the second largest economy on earth has an NBA footprint in it? These shoes, the distribution, it's in China. That's what they have. China could shut that off tomorrow because it's a dictatorship, but they don't want that to happen because they want money. It's business. And I'm not trying to be an ass here. I'm just explaining that it's obvious that China is something the NBA values. They have for years, and you can't hear one bad thing coming from, except Enes Kanter. Enes Kanter basically protested everything about China. And if you don't know who Enes Kanter is, just Google him. I don't have time.
Is he still in the NBA?
I don't think he is. I think he basically got blackballed from the league, not because of his ability to play, but because of his outspoken views about one of the biggest benefactors of that league, which is China. So that's the problem. And the hypocrisy goes endless. It's endless. And you can't involve that when it comes to business, when it comes to sports. You cannot. Because if you ask yourself about Saudi Arabia and how you feel about it, you buy them every day you start that car. Every day you're buying Saudi Arabia. Every day you put that thermostat on 72 because you're sweating outside. You are buying Saudi Arabia. Just get over it. Understand this is business. This is sports. And there's nothing you can do about it except try to enjoy it. And if you don't want to enjoy it, take up another hobby. Because without these other entities, what would we be talking about? We wouldn't be watching all this sports on TV. We'd be watching Barnaby Jones, The Rockford Files, Mary Tyler Moore, or something like that.
Those are good shows.
You can watch Gunsmoke at night instead of watching the NBA playoff. You can watch Gunsmoke all day long. But that's the truth, and people just have a hard time gripping the realities of it because it hurts their feelings and the hypocrisy. And I agree, it's everywhere, but you either accept it or you don't. And if you don't want to watch sports, like I said, you can go watch TV Land until the cows come home. And you watch.
Gunsmoke's a good show.
Gunsmoke is. James Arness was fabulous. He was really good.
Okay, JC, just take a drink of your cranberry and vodka or whatever you're drinking this morning.
It's the watermelon flavor. Come on.
Okay. All right. So we're going to switch gears for a minute just to calm you down.
I just get so worked up over
the Women's College World Series Championship Series starts tonight. It's OU against the Semis. A couple of people want to know, do I think will Florida State win a game? I do not. OU, I think they're going for 3 straight titles, but they've won 51 straight games. That's crazy.
The dynasty, man. They have conquered the sport.
Tony says here on Facebook Live, he says the Saudis should buy Ironwood.
Yes. Do you know it would be such an insignificant drop in the bucket to put $15 million into that place that they wouldn't even notice it? Yeah, it's crazy, man. That's a great take there, Tony. I love it, Tony. Put Ironwood in the sovereign wealth fund of Saudi Arabia.
Cardozo would be happy.
He would be. He'd probably get a big raise too. Yeah, I mean,
Well, maybe we could get them to build us a good golf course in town.
We got plenty of land, man. We got plenty of land. There's plenty of space in Alachua County, east or west of 34th Street. You go east, and well, we all know what the story is over there. But if you go west, 34th Street, you can find some spots. Yeah.
All right, we got the NBA final game 3 tonight in Miami. Series is tied 1-1. Who you like in the game tonight, JC?
I like Denver. I've said Denver in 5. I'm sticking with that. Now, listen, the Miami Heat have proven me wrong throughout. So I wouldn't be shocked if that happened. But I think Denver's a better team. Clearly, Vegas right now in hockey is the better team. Florida's completely out of sorts. I think that 10-day layoff for the Florida Panthers was terrible for them. But it's the way it worked out. They swept, the Carolina Hurricanes. And Vegas was playing at the time against Dallas going through 6 games. I think Florida will play better. I think then Denver will play better. And I think you'll see a 2-1 scenario in both playoff situations because Florida's going to win game 3 and Denver's going to win game 3. That's what I think is going to happen. But I'll tell you what, I'm really, I was thinking about this bracket, the way they bracketized the SEC teams to have to play each other in super regionals. And right now, the most we can do is get 3 in the College World Series.
I think it's 4.
What's the 4?
I think we have a chance. Obviously, Dan or Tony or Andy, somebody's going to let us know. I thought we had a chance to have 4 or 5 SEC teams.
No, I think Kentucky and LSU are going to play. So one of those. Florida and South Carolina.
We're guaranteed. We're guaranteed 2.
We're guaranteed 2, but we could have 3.
I thought it was more than that.
Well,
maybe I'm wrong.
The third team is Tennessee. After that, you're out. That's it. Well, so let's say Florida, LSU, and Tennessee, because Arkansas is gone. Vanderbilt is gone.
Yeah, maybe right.
That's so okay. Fine. We have
Dan. Hang on. Dan says we have a chance for 4. 2
okay,
head-to-head in Tennessee and Alabama. You're damn school, JC.
Oh my God, you're right.
You're not a true fan. I mean, you just proved it right there.
That's an idiot.
You're not a true fan.
Let's face it. They're not beating Wake Forest. But
by the way, JC, I saw one of the coolest logos. I'm going to send it to you here. I took a picture of it. I don't know if you've ever seen this logo. It's for your school. I'm going to text it to you. And I'll be very disappointed if you don't buy a shirt with this on there. Never seen this logo. I'm
an impulse buyer, QB. So just
I know. I'm going to send it to you.
I like it.
To you. It's your baseball squad. And in the meantime, we're going to do our Peachland Dentistry, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry, Port Charlotte surrounding areas.
Oh, my God.
Visit them at peachlanddental.com.
That is so great.
I've never seen that.
That is so great.
And it almost looks like the old Colonel Rev from Ole Miss standing on his cane, but he's standing on his baseball bat.
All right, I want one in crimson, please, extra large. Cut them both. Let's go.
All right, so we got the Canadian Open. Do you think there's going to be a lot of chaos up there in Canada over all this?
I think there's going to be a lot of distraction, but for some poor slob, it's going to be a life-changing win for him because it's going to give him status on whatever this new thing is going to be called, which, by the way, is being branded by the PGA Tour now. Let's just keep that in mind as well, along with the governance of this new entity. But, I think the Canadian Open is one of those tournaments that allows somebody to change their life. A 2-year exemption, Masters invitation, U.S. Open, things like this. You get to go to the Tournament of Champions in Kapalua. So unless Rory wins. But, Freddie Couples said on the radio yesterday, he said, I knew something was crazy when Rory's plane was headed straight for Canada after the tournament on Sunday, and nobody gets on their plane to go to the next site on Sunday night. And so he did, and that kind of made him think, well, what's happening? Why is Rory McIlroy taking a bunch of dudes up to Canada, board members of the PGA Tour? They all got in his jet and flew to Canada Sunday night after the end of the thing, the tournament we just finished. And so he thought something was up, but apparently Rory didn't know anything until yesterday morning. In fact, nobody did, except Yasser Al-Rumayyan and Jay Monahan and Jimmy Dunn. Those were the 3 power brokers that made this happen. And so I'm all for it, man. I'm all for it. I want to watch Brooks Koepka play. I mean,
Okay, well, we're going to do our picks right now. That's what we're trying to do here. Somebody on this show picked the outright winner, Victor Hovland, last week.
I had second place guy.
And so I'm picking first.
Okay.
So I'm going to take Justin Rose to win the Canadian Open.
Oh, Justin Rose. Yeah. I mean, nobody's talking about that guy. He's a great player. All right. I like that pick. I do. Well, okay. Rather than take up a lot of time here, I'm just going to throw a Terrell Hatton at you. Yeah, that sucks, doesn't it? You were going to take him, but he's my guy this week from England. You can take the other Brit. Take the other Brit you love so dearly. Go ahead.
I'm taking Matt Fitzpatrick.
Oh my God! See, I mean, just get the bagpipes out. Oh, they don't do bagpipes in England, but just get the tea time going. You are such a Brit and Korean. That's what you are.
Well, there's not a whole lot of a lot of my South Koreans. I don't think any of them are playing this week. They've taken a week off. Yeah,
they're saying we're going straight to Los Angeles. I understand. All right, so that's a good pick. I knew you would pick him. I'm going to go with this guy who I think at some point is going to break through, and I'm going to go with Theegala. I love Theegala. I like Theegala.
You love the Pepperdine Wave guy.
I do like him, man. He's got great form.
All right, my last pick, I'm going to go with a local. I'm going to take a Canadian. I'm going to take Taylor Pendrith.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I could take Mike Weir, but I'm not. Instead,
there's a lot of Canadians in this, though.
The next Canadian I'm taking is a guy named Adam Hadwin.
Okay, he's a good player.
I would like Adam Hadwin, Theegala, and
I'm surprised you didn't take Roy McIlroy and all the chalk.
There's so many distractions right now with these guys. These poor PGA guys didn't make their $100 million. I stayed up all night worrying about those guys. It's so sad. It's so sad. Really,
we've talked a lot of golf today, but that's the number one sports story. But
let's talk baseball real quick.
Did you hear? I watched a lot of the Memorial, and you know how they have Jack up in the box with Jim Nance and Trevor Immelman.
I did,
and they were talking about Roy's game, and Jack said basically, I need to have a talk with Roy, talk about but he thinks Roy tries to hit the ball too hard on all shots. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't play like to the fat of the green and things like that. But Jack doesn't realize too the game has changed a little bit. You better make a bunch of birdies because
400
are too damn good.
And 475-yard par fours with rough this high. If you're not long, you're making 5. So
Cliff asked on here, did I pick a Korean? I did not. There's only a couple of them, and it's not my favorites. So they're as JC said, they probably went ahead and they headed out to LA early. Speaking of that, so Hideki Matsuyama, who is I think he's still about 28 years old, best players in the world from Japan.
Absolutely.
And he turned down like $500 million.
Yeah. Well, do we know?
But the reason I'm saying this, I was because I'm on all these golf Twitter feeds somehow. After the Memorial at where would it be? The Columbus International Airport, whatever, in Columbus, Ohio. It showed Hideki standing in line on standby for Spirit Airlines.
That's like Siwoo Kim winning the TPC and sitting in coach on Delta in the middle seat.
Yeah, but Siwoo Kim was nobody. Hideki Matsuyama is like the most famous person that came out of Japan as a golfer.
Yeah, sure. No.
And he's standing in line in the standby line of Spirit Airlines.
Those seats don't even recline, for God's sake. Listen. So he gives away $400 million from the Saudis. How do we know that the Japanese didn't give him $1 billion? Do we know that? So listen, after he won the Masters, listen, I think it's like this. 2 things about money. The more you have, the more you want. I understand that. But a lot of times when you have enough, you look at other things like competing against the world's best, winning titles, going somewhere that other guys who are just chasing the check could never go. And that's what the Matsuyamas of the world and the Rory McIlroys and the Tiger Woodses of the world, that's where they are, the Justin Thomases of the world. That's what they want. Dustin's out there chasing the next check. Great business decision, as it now turns out to be. However, sometimes it comes down to playing with the best on earth. And that's what these guys are chasing. They're chasing majors. They're chasing prestige in that regard because they have enough already. and they're going to get more. They're going to get a lot more now. So it's all fine. Everything's fine. By the way, the Gators will win in 2 games this weekend. They will beat South Carolina on Friday night, 6-2. They will win on Saturday, 7-3. And we will go straight to Omaha and get ready for the College World Series as the national number 2 seed, who it could end up as being the top seed in Omaha when Alabama gets done beating Wake Forest. So what do you think of them?
Oh, how about that? All right, JC, we got to get to Edgar, get his thoughts on what's going on in the world. Dan said that Hideki had probably $300 in bag fees since he took his clubs on Spirit. All right.
They're funny. These Asian folks are funny.
They will not fly private.
No. They want that commercial experience. It's quite an experience on Delta in the middle seat.
And I guarantee you, nobody that was standing in line knew who the hell he was. Either.
No.
All right, JC. Have a good day. We'll talk to you on Friday. As JC joins us on the Titan More Hotline. We're going to take a quick time out. Come back. We'll be joined by Orlando Sentinel's Edgar Thompson. You're watching and listening to PodUp Matthews in the Morning.
We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law attorneys of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte.
Campus USA Credit Union.
QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Dave & Buster's, eat, drink, play, and watch. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance, Doreen Wibby, Realtor Caldwell Banker, MM Parish. Our touchdown sponsors are Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteak, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Aver and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Pro football legend Emmitt Smith understands your joint pain.
It does not surprise me that there are a ton of people out there that's in pain.
That's why Emmitt is such a proponent of QC Kinetics, offering real lasting joint pain relief with non-surgical, all-natural biologic treatments.
Whether it's a joint pain, ankle pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, back pain, hip pain, any kind of pain, the body eventually will break down when it's under that much stress.
That stress can cloud your judgment to the point that you'll just say yes to the scalpel or yes to another prescription of pain pills. But maybe it's time for a second opinion from QC Kinetics.
The reason why I would recommend this is because the natural biologics that QC Kinetics is providing you gives your body a chance to naturally heal itself.
Restorative, regenerative solutions are here. Get lasting relief and live your life.
Call QC Kinetics 352-400-4550. That's 352-400-4550. QC Kinetics 352-400-4550.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration Points, where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Regal Cinemas, Prime and Pearl, Dave & Buster's, Nike, Skechers, F45, the HBC's Restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. The #1 celebrity polished casual restaurant in America. We'll see you at Celebration Point. Let's go to the Titan More Hotline. We're joined by Orlando Sentinel's Edgar Thompson. Good morning, Edgar. How you doing, buddy, on the Titan More Hotline?
I'm doing fine, man. I tell you, yesterday, I know we're going to talk about it, but my Lord, yesterday was a wild one, huh? News-wise.
It was crazy. I guess the biggest surprise to me, and JC and I talked a lot about it, was how it was so quiet. You know, usually there's always a leak.
Was JC on earlier?
Yeah, not JC Deacon, JC, JC that's on my show. But, you know, he's very opinionated. Real quickly, because we kind of talked a lot about it already previously, and we got some other stuff to talk about Gator related. Your thoughts on this merger?
I mean, first off, I was blindsided. Second off, I think it's a win for fans. Fans, you could see it at the PGA. They were embracing Koepka as they should have. He played phenomenally. He's like such an alpha male out there. He's like a totally different type of player. You know, it's like he and Rahm. I mean, those guys just go out and just attack, man. And it's so fun to watch, and people enjoyed it. And then Phil finished second at the Masters, and people enjoyed it. It's like, I get it. I mean, the whole thing, there's some distasteful elements to it, merging with the Saudi regime based on his track record with human rights. But look, man, I read an article in the Wall Street Journal a while back. They're like 300. There's like a group of like this. It's almost like not an internment camp, but literally there's barbed wire around. These people live in dorms. They get up at the crack of dawn and go make iPhones every day. I mean, I'm sitting here with my iPhone, okay? I mean, we're all doing things that probably have some amoral aspect to it. You know, we should all just not do the way they make iPhones. We probably shouldn't own them. And so everyone's businesses are all dipping their toe in certain waters and in certain countries and profiting certain ways. And the PGA Tour, I think, just recognized it wasn't getting the sponsorships or wasn't going to be able to sustain the level of sponsorships it needed. It had lost AT&T. It had lost Honda. Remember the Honda Classic? Honda got out. So because the tournament wasn't good anymore. So they turned all these designated events. How were they might not have been able to keep paying for all this stuff year after year after year. And they were supplementing, augmenting some of these big paydays anyway. The tour from its coffers that Phil Mickelson was always referring to, all this money it had that they weren't paying players. So there was all these financial aspects behind the scenes, Shane, kind of. So I think they just recognized, look, the Saudis have an endless supply of money, and they paid a few $billion to do this thing that they probably lost. And now they have a seat at the table, the Saudis, which is kind of what they wanted all along. They're not going to be the main voice on this, the Saudis. The PGA Tour and Jay Monahan and these people will still be the main voice and still be out front. But the Saudis are going to help. They're going to merge. Kind of a lot of people win in this, man. Now, there are some losers, clearly. You've got like Rory McIlroy, who went to the wall for the PGA Tour and probably passed up hundreds of millions of dollars. Now, he's rich as heck, and he had a great quote a few years ago. I don't need the money. I use the same 3 or 4 rooms in my house. I mean, think about that. You know, you have 50 rooms, and you basically use like the little corner of your house. So it was a great quote, and it's very real. But so he kind of lost. Ricky Fowler, he was getting $75 million he turned down, and the list goes on. And they backed the tour. And meanwhile, a guy like Brooks Koepka got $130 million. Plus, he has one of these franchises now. He came out pretty good out of the whole thing. So there's a lot of pieces. Now, the big thing to me is, what's the schedule going to be? How's it going to work? Or is Liv going to play on these weeks? Like, you have these events that aren't really getting any traction anymore. Are they getting rid of some longstanding events and going to replace them with live events? I don't know how it's all going to work, but I think it's good for the sport, for me, you, the fan who just wants to see the Ryder Cup back to normal, or you know what I mean? I just want to see good fields, man. I want to see good tournaments, because it kind of gutted the game for me a little bit when some of these guys weren't even in the fields.
Yeah, I agree.
And we saw that during the majors, because the majors were really compelling, because it's like, oh, there's Brooks, or there's, you know, Phil, or there's Patrick, or whoever, and that Patrick Reed, and then at the Masters, and then it was like they're not playing week to week.
We got a couple questions here about Gator golf. I wanted to ask you, Fred Bionde turned pro. I don't understand why, you know, he had a spot to play in the Masters and also the US Open, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
But by turning pro, he cannot do those. I don't understand why they won't let a guy, if he turns pro, continue to play in it.
Well, they were invites as an amateur.
Right. But
they're
still the same damn player.
It is, but those are slotted amateur spots. I don't know who gets them now. The U.S. Open one was kind of interesting, because that's next week. Yeah. So he's playing this week in this BMW Charity Pro up in Greenville, South Carolina, to debut on the Korn Ferry Tour. So he was second in the PGA Tour University. Now, I can't explain this, how that works. Ludvig Aberg, which is I think he's Norwegian maybe, but he's like a very good player at Texas Tech. He won it. So he gets to come to the PGA Tour and gets X number of starts. I think it's 14 or something to get his card. Fred gets the rest of the season, which is 14 Cornberry Tour events, and can keep playing and trying to earn his keep and get on the tour next year, which is what you want, the PGA Tour, or whatever they're going to call it now that Liv's involved. I assume it's still going to be PGA Tour. But he so he just said, man, I got to get my pro career going. I mean, I didn't speak to him specifically about that, but giving up the Masters 10 months from now makes some sense.
Yeah, but I don't know why they can't say, hey, because it's such not many.
I agree with you.
Just let him play. Say, okay, you're turning pro. We get that. Now, he could still qualify by winning some. If he somehow got on the PGA Tour before they won't go to Augusta and he won a tournament, we could get him in. But let's say he doesn't. I just wish they would still let him play. Say you're playing, but you no matter if you win or you can't make any money, he gets an opportunity to play Augusta, I guess. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I know a pro athlete, he's going to want to compete in whatever he shoots, he earns, and he should get paid. But I don't know. Because I know Fred, and I was wanting to watch him play in Augusta or have an opportunity, and also in the U.S. Open. But
the other Fred is Fred Ridley in this, right?
Yeah.
He's the chairman of Augusta, who's a Gator. I guess he can't massage the rules in favor of a guy who went to his alma mater. But yeah, hey, look, I agree with you. He earned his spot. Maybe but then he would go in and just sign a deal what he can't profit from his appearance unless he qualify. They'll give it to someone else, I assume. I haven't dug into those details. I wrote something on it. The interesting thing about Fred, the week he had last week, as his teammates referred to it, was a perfect week. He wins the NCAA individual, comes back from 5 shots down to start the day, and does it, and had a double. He went birdie, 3 birdies in 6 holes, doubled 7, and just showed the resiliency to still do it. The guy for Georgia Tech, Ross Steelman, did collapse. The guy bogeyed his last 3 holes.
Well, he also he uses a push cart. He deserved to lose. Any male golfer in college that doesn't carry their bag deserves to lose.
Well, he definitely, kind of came unglued. We've all been there. And Fred capitalized. Then he leads them to the team title. So he's talking on Thursday. The team talked about 6 o'clock Thursday evening after getting back. They were all in 2 or 3 hours of sleep, but they were great, and JC was awesome as always. But Fred was like, look, man, at the Southern Highlands, which is a big event in Las Vegas, that Yushin Lin actually rolled and won. It was the biggest win on his resume as a college player, Yushin. Fred shot, I didn't realize till I looked yesterday, he went 77-80 in the second and third round. He said by the final, he was on the 9th fairway, and he was in tears on the course, crying basically, because he was so frustrated. He didn't know where he was, just lost. So this was the end of February, and look how that game, man, it's a cruel game, man. He even said this game will humble you, but he used that as fuel, and here we are. So great for him. It was an incredible performance last week. Obviously, we're all into it, but being golfers. I want to know, because I rambled for 3 minutes as I'm prone to do. What do you think of the Live PGA Tour thing? What's your bottom line on it?
I think it's good when it's all said and done. I don't agree with a lot of stuff. I don't make a whole lot of opinions on it. I'm glad to be able to see the Koepkas, the Cam Smiths, those guys back playing with the other guys. So we'll see. It's all money driven. We know that. At Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville, North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. Edgar Thompson on the Titanmore hotline. Edgar, real quick, obviously Gator baseball is still playing, and then you got track. I want to say the national championships start today or started yesterday in track.
Yeah, they start up today, I believe.
Okay. Well, the Gators are the defending national champs, right?
In both. They doubled
both.
last year, which was the first team to do that since Oregon in 15, and it's pretty rare. I think the women's team was second in the SEC and certainly could win. I don't know enough about the men, but the men were 6 at the SEC. I do know that, and that makes me think that's going to be a tall order for them. But the women certainly have a shot. So it's the men's team enters ranked fourth in the nation. Okay, so hey, look, man, Holloway gets his team peaking at the right time. He's a master of it. They have 12 national titles under the man. That includes indoor season, and I would put nothing by them.
No. Gator baseball, you've been following them, obviously found a way to come back and move on to the super regionals. South Carolina team that swept them this year, that really means nothing to me. This team, I mean, obviously we all know they had a chance to win the national title. What do you think about the Gators? Do you think Sully goes back to his normal rotation to start this series?
Probably. I mean, last week, I mean, you would think he starts out with Sproat. I tell you, man, that guy, his first 2 pitches there were 100 and 101. You just look at the guy. I mean, look, he's a athletic, decent sized guy, but I mean, my God, when it's just amazing where they generate that speed. Mm-hmm. It's unfathomable, honestly. But yeah, probably. I mean, he should. You got to get that first game, man. You don't want to be in the hole in a 2 out of 3. That thing they did this week coming back, I was talking to Sullivan, butcher his last name, but he's a guest ID, great guy, works, you talk about a guy who's been busy, but Bortner, Sullivan, anyway, I'm like, so do you have some data on coming back, winning 3 straight, you're in the hole? He said it's 81% of the teams that start out 2-0 win the regional. So the Gators, man, had to come back for some pretty deep hole, even though they made it look easy ultimately, winning 8-2, 7-1, and 6-0.
Well, I felt very confident that they would do that just because even the game they lost to Texas Tech, a lot of bad stuff happened to us. I mean, we should have had 3 or 4 home runs in that game. I don't know the exact amount, but I mean, you could tell Florida's a better baseball team. Now, on any given weekend, the best baseball team can lose a series, but I was very confident. And I'm confident in South Carolina. I do wish they were playing somebody other than an SEC opponent because we do know how good the SEC is week in and week out. But we'll see. They're at home, and we haven't been back to when was the last time we were in Omaha?
Dude, this has been a fallow stretch for the Gators. And in fact, it's last year they lost 5-4 to Oklahoma. And afterwards, Sully was like, it hurts, but this is going to be good for the culture, whatever, that kind of stuff, which, what's he supposed to say? But it's also, it turned out to be true. I mean, look how good this team is. It's 48-15 or something, isn't it? And the record's ridiculous. Yep. It's one of his best teams. In fact, I was going to look right now because I don't know what the most wins he's recorded in a season, but he's gonna, if they keep winning, this is gonna be it. His most wins 53-11, so 52 a couple times, 3 times. Yeah, it's gonna take getting to 53 be nice, but he is this one of his best teams. So last year, though, marked the 3rd straight time they had failed to get out of regionals. And one of those was the year before they got lost to USF and then got rolled by South Alabama 19.
I remember that game.
Brutal. And then in 19, they lost to Dallas Baptist twice. Now that is a good program apparently, but come on, you don't lose to Dallas Baptist. And you don't think if you're Florida. And then last year was disappointing. Now, last year, they got kind of screwed on the draw. I mean, Oklahoma came here as the 8th ranked team in the nation, but the number 2 seed, it didn't make much sense. and they lost 5-4. And Ryan Slater, I think, gave up 4 runs in that game. And then Ryan Slater comes out Saturday or Sunday and gets the win. Or was it Monday? Monday, and gets the win. So, look, good team, deep, a lot. I mean, deep on all fronts.
Yeah.
I expect them to beat South Carolina. I'm looking at, I was trying to look on some Twitter because Jacob Rudner at 247 and then Nick Delatorre, as we know.
Oh, they're
these
great
guys,
at baseball.
They're all over the baseball. They love it. They're out there for every game. I mean, I show up when I kind of have to. I mean, I enjoy it. I'm impressed with it, but it's not like my thing. I'm much more into the golf aspect of sports now. I mean, that's kind of the main thing I'm into. Combined starting pitchers at home this year, Jacob Rudner, 16-2, 3.53 ERA, Caglione 6-1, Waldrop 4-1, Sproat 6-1. That's pretty good. And I think Nick pointed out in a tweet, and I'm not going to go dig it up, but how many walks they had given up.
Yes, I was going to bring that up. Dan Bond put here on Facebook Live that in that series that we got swept by the Gamecocks, 24 walks.
26 free passes, 2 hit by pitches. I just saw it on.
Yeah. You ain't going to beat anybody doing that.
They're not doing that.
That's the key right there.
That's not happening again. And, if the wind's not blowing in, I was joking with these guys because I'm like, I've never heard so much wind talk since the British Open. Come on, man. Can't be that big a deal. But they have all this data now, exit velocity and predicted, and a bunch of home runs were kept in the park.
Yep, for sure. Well, Edgar, we've already run out of time, my man. I appreciate your time. I'll probably see you out at the ballpark.
You gonna be out there?
Yeah, I'm gonna head out for some games. I plan to be in town, and hopefully the weather holds up.
Press box.
I haven't even looked at the weather. The weather's supposed to be okay this weekend?
I don't think so, man.
It's going to be raining.
The other day it looked like it was supposed to be rainy. Let's see. Actually, man, Friday 60%, Saturday, Sunday looks like we'll be cooking. Thank God. Monday looks good, so we should at least get it in by the end of the week. I mean, by the end of the weekend or Monday if it gets rained out Friday. But this is the thing, man. Why are you starting games at 6:00 on Friday night?
TV. It's actually going to be on regular ESPN. So, a lot of my listeners, we have trouble finding SEC Plus. So this one's on regular ESPN, I'm pretty sure.
It was kind of a rhetorical question, but yes, you're going to get rain potentially. It looks like Saturday, Sunday are good. Saturday start time's 3, Sundays to be determined if the game's necessary.
All right. Good stuff, Edgar. Appreciate your time, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That's Edgar Thompson. Join us on the Titan More Hotline. Let's get to This Day in Sports, brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. 2010 in the Major League Draft, Southern Nevada outfitter Bryce Harper was the first pick by the Washington Nationals.